Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, September 23rd, 2016.
Commissioner James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Master Jerry, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Brad Jensen, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Angelica Samayoa with the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, no commentary under the neighborhood councils, and no speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, then we'll close general public comment as well as the neighborhood council category of commentary. A couple of administrative items. Agenda item number 12. Specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council Districts 1, 2, 4, 9, 13, and 14 for a secondary sewer renewal program. Difficult to access reaches Northeast Los Angeles, Eagle Rock, Los Feliz, and Griffith Park. The estimate's $5,128,350. The bid receipt date will be Wednesday, November 9th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 12 forthwith? By Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 11, also administrative item. Council Districts 8 and 11, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This one also for a secondary sewer renewal program, La Brea Avenue and 63rd Street and Sentinel Avenue and Idaho Avenue. This one, the estimate is $863,626. The bid receipt date of Wednesday, November 9th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt number 11 forthwith? It's by Commissioners Jacinto and Davis, so that will be the order. Number 10, the mayor has approved and authorized the board to execute amendment number 1 to agreement number WR98-1003 between the Department of Water and Power and the Department of Public Works for the use of recycled water services. Is there a second to my motion that we approve number 10 forthwith? By Commissioners Davis and Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Let's go back and approve the meeting minutes. We have 2 meeting minutes that we're going to be approving today. First, the meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, August 31, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we approve those meeting minutes? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Okay, without objection, we'll approve the meeting minutes from August 31, 2016. I also have meeting minutes from Friday, September 2nd, 2016 for approval. Is there a second to my motion to approve those meeting minutes? Also by Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Mr. Campos, did I close the neighborhood council category of commentary?
Yes, you did.
Okay, then we'll go to agenda item number 1, Council District 14, Bureau of Engineering, recommending that the board approve an amendment to the right-of-way contract previously agreed to and executed by the City of Los Angeles and the property owner Jerry Cohen and Arit Cohen, trustees of the Jerry and Arit Cohen Living Trust, dated December 18, 2008, and authorize the Director of the Office of Accounting, upon request of the City Engineer, to draw the necessary demand as progress payments for the total amount up to $242,000 payable to the Cohen Trust, such amount representing the funds required to construct improvements that will meet the City of Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety Code requirements to the remaining structure located at 637 South Clarence Street. And number 3, approve the life of structure permit to permit a portion, that's one wall, of the current warehouse building located at 637 South Clarence Street to exist at 639 South Clarence Street, owned by the city, and this is in connection with the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project right of way. Mr. Bazzi, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Al Bazzi, Bureau of Engineering, 6th Street Viaduct. To facilitate the construction of the 6th Street Viaduct back in October of 2014, the city purchased the property located at 639 Clarence, which has an existing building on it. The amount was $1.5 million, $1,525,000 to be exact, and that was based on an appraisal that was conducted by the city at the time. Part of that agreement, the city would have to improve the common wall that's between both buildings. That common wall was serving as an interior wall, so naturally when we take the building out, that wall has to be upgraded to become an exterior wall. That was part of the agreement, and then Bureau of Engineering developed the plans for this improvement. We took it to Building and Safety, and Building and Safety requested some additional requirements beyond the scope of the agreement. It involves upgrading the roof and installing some bathrooms to be compliant with ADA. And so that's what this is for. The estimate is at $242,000. The city obtained an estimate from the contractor for the viaduct. It was over $500,000. So in lieu of that, we requested the property owner to get us an estimate from his own private contractor. It came at $242,000, less than half. So it's really to the best interest of the city to go that route. And that's what we're recommending part of this report. I would like to briefly talk about the life of structure. This is, we had to request executing this because the common wall encroaches within the city property by 3 feet. So in lieu of going through the lengthy process of doing a line adjustment, which could be up to 1 year, Real Estate Division came up with this innovative idea here, and it's very expedited and quick. And upon your approval today, we can execute that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Al, thank you for your report. I'm going to ask a question regarding the use of the building after we've made the improvements. Is that it'll be a city-owned facility, correct? The building or the improvements that we're making on that wall, now the exterior wall.
To clarify, Commissioner, the city is demolishing the building that we own on our side. So the common wall will serve the property owner, the Cohen Trust, which is being used as a laundry facility currently. There's a tenant who occupies the property, and that will continue in the near future for that use until the Cohens sell the property or do something else with it. And just to mention that life of structure agreement, while talking that subject, will not transfer upon the sale of the property. So it will remain in force as long as the Cohen Trust owns it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Mr. Bozzi, we'll inspect the work of the Cohen's contractor upon completion, correct?
That is correct, and upon completion as well as during construction, and the payments to the Cohen Trust will be based upon certain milestones that we put into the contract, in the contract amendment, I should say, which kind of similar to what we do in our projects in the city. We put milestones, progress payments, and we're going to withhold 5% at the end, just spending, making sure everything's okay, and they're going to get the certificate of occupancy to the satisfaction of the building and safety.
Not that we wouldn't do that anyway. It's just that there was disparity between what our estimate said and what their estimate was. We went with the lower estimate. Just want to make sure that we get the quality that we were expecting.
Sure, absolutely, Commissioner. That will be inspected by Bureau of Contract Administration.
And then, Mr. Jordan, just because this is as the report's helpful, but it reads as it's a little bit of a different type of transaction. Everything is copacetic, okay, with your department here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issues sending it forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's go to agenda item number 6, just so we can send Mr. Roch on his way with the implementation of these contracts. Office of Community Beautification, Council Districts 1, 3, 8, 10, 14, and 15 recommending that the board authorize the Office of Community Beautification to execute a contract amendment with the following OCB contractors. Number one, the Central City Action Committee in the amount of $2,000 to maintain the former CRA property described as the Westlake Theater in Council District 1. Number two, the Koreatown Youth and Community Center in the amount of $8,000 to maintain the former CRA property described as the Marlton Square in Council District 10. Number three, the Gang Alternatives Program in the amount of $15,000 to maintain former CRA properties described as the Bethune Library, Wilmington Block 27, and the historic Watts train station. Number four, the West Valley Alliance in the amount of $15,000 to maintain former CRA properties described as the Reseda Theater and Reseda Town Center. And number five, Los Angeles Conservation Corps in the amount of $20,000 to maintain the former CRA properties described as the Bunker Hill, First and Boyle, and First and Mission. Mr. Roch on number 6.
Good morning, Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification, and we are this morning here requesting board approval to amend existing contractors with some of our nonprofit agencies under contract with the Office of Community Beautification. These would be for the maintenance of several properties formerly owned by the CRA and now under the jurisdiction of the City of Los Angeles. These include the Westlake Theater in CD1, which is a vacant and boarded up theater, Marlton Square in the 4,000 block of Marlton Avenue, which is mostly vacant and unimproved land, the Bethune Library on South Vermont, which is also vacant and unimproved land, historic Watts train station and the adjoining plaza, and also a Metro Park and Ride lot located adjacent to that location. The Reseda Theater, which is boarded up, and also the unimproved parking area in the rear of the theater. The Reseda Town Center, which is 2 vacant buildings scheduled for future demolition. Bunker Hill, which includes the area, not the actual train tracks of Angel's Flight, but the stairs and everything, kind of the landscaped area to the south of that. First and Boyle, which is vacant and unimproved land, and then First and Mission, the Ocean Queen building, which is a 12,000 square foot building, has a current tenant who currently handles the building maintenance on the inside, so the contract would be for the outside areas. OCB contractors have been maintaining these locations for a 6-month period. Funding lapsed a few months ago and has now been restored, so they will be back at each of these locations beginning next week. This current amount of funding is for an additional 6-month period. We do understand we have been working with the CAO's office on funding to continue this without a lapse as we had this particular time. The scope of work includes graffiti abatement, litter and weed cleanup, bulky item and debris cleanup, and checking to ensure that all the fencing and the locks that surround these, the boarded up and vacant properties are secure. In most locations, each location will be checked a minimum of once per week, and the Bunker Hill location will be checked and worked on at a minimum of twice per week. Funding is provided by the citywide nuisance abatement account in the Capital Improvement Expenditure Program, and we do request board approval for these contract amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Roch, and thank you for your work in getting these contracts to us so we can close the gap in time. I also appreciate you working with the CAO office so we don't have that gap in the future. I know that there's that the communities are anxious for our contractors to get back to work on it, so we're excited to see these come today. And again, thank you for stepping in on Angel's Flight. I think it was last week.
Last week?
Maybe the last week or the week before.
Week before.
Maybe the week before, where we had the graffiti issue. We appreciate the quick response. Anything on number 6, anyone? Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Repenning and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt number 6. We'd like to send it forthwith. We'll send it forthwith. Thank you. Have a good weekend, Paul.
Yep.
Agenda item number 2. Bureau of Engineering Council District 14, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to sole source the selection of Philips lighting fixtures and Click Systems lighting fixtures, and authorize the city engineer to include line items in the schedule of work and prices for the procurement of the Philips lighting fixtures for an amount not to exceed $3,800,000, and for the procurement of the Click Systems lighting fixtures for an amount not to exceed $2,060,000. Both items will be procured and installed by the general contractor in the forthcoming viaduct construction task order from the construction manager general contractor contract in connection with the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. Mr. Bosdy, you're back on number 2. You didn't necessarily know we would interrupt you with number 6, did you?
No worries. Al Bazi, Bureau of Engineering, 6th Street Viaduct. So this is a sole source requirement. It involves 2 types of lighting fixtures. The first type is made by Philips. It's being used on the arches as well as the barriers. The main driver was the arches. We're using accent lighting. And that had to be what's known as Ethernet based. And Philips was researched by the designer to be the only firm who offers that for such a long length of the bridge. And that dictated the use of the barrier lighting. The lighting had to be mounted inside the barriers as opposed to having light poles. And that's to maintain the required effect between the accent lighting and the lights. If we put poles, that would diffuse the accent lighting from the arches. So that's the justification for the Philips lighting. The dollar amount is $3.8 million. The other system that we are proposing, it's made by a company called Click Systems. That is proposed to be used at the rails and the staircases on the viaduct. And the reason for the sole source is Click Systems was researched by the designer to be the only firm who can provide vandalism protection for these fixtures. And that dollar amount is $2,060,000. So the sole source will procure these items. The general contractor will install them as part of the viaduct package.
So, Al, during our briefing, we talked a bit about, I recognize what's in the board report regarding the justification for the sole source of each of these. But I think it would help for the record. Would you talk a little bit about the research in the market that was done to ensure that Philips and Click are, in fact, the only ones that will meet the specifications that we need?
Sure, Commissioner. To answer this question, I'm going to call on my colleague, Terrence Powell. He's the designer for HNTB. So I will call him to assist in answering this question.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Terrence Powell, HNTB. I'm the project manager of the design consultant for BOE. The question was the Click system.
Well, either one. What we're sole sourcing it, and the justification for the sole source is stated. But what I want for the record is confirmation that we check the market to ensure that, in fact, Philips is the only one that meets our specifications here. Yeah. Same for Click. I understand the issue on Click is, by reading the report's a little more clear. In my briefing with Mr. Bozzi, it was very clear to me that Philips is the best way to go. But there was discussion about how we went to market to, in fact, determine that Philips was really our one-stop shop.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the Click system first. I went back and double-checked. The Click system is patented.
Right.
So
I asked that question. I asked I said, was there a patent on either one? Yeah. If you say the word patent, then you're kind of done here. But yeah. But go ahead.
So Click system is patented. So
okay.
So that's done. For the Philips system, we researched about 12 different manufacturers. Excuse me. Getting over a cold. Sorry. We researched about 12 reputable manufacturers for compatible systems. So as Al mentioned earlier, we have the accent lighting, spotlight type fixtures. Those are not patented, but because of the need for a long viaduct, Philips is the only one that we know of that operates on the Ethernet system that allows us to string 140 lights over 3,500 feet. Everybody else who makes similar fixtures, they operate on a traditional DMX system. Think of that as analog, if you will, that you can only string up to about 32 fixtures over a span of 300, 500 feet. So there's a specific system limitation here that we have to go with an Ethernet system. And based on our research, Philips is the only manufacturer that has that capability to produce the fixtures with the light output that we need and operate on an Ethernet-based system. So that's the arch lighting. For the barrier-mounted roadway lighting fixtures, similar situation, but on top of that, we have to meet the published BSL lighting requirements. Provide certain illumination value, the spacing, what's that called? The average values and all that. So based on our research, there are a few other manufacturers that make similar products, but either they don't fit within the space, within the concrete barrier that we have available, or they don't meet the particular lighting requirements that we have to satisfy. So that's the reason why we recommend the Philips fixture to be the one to use in this case.
Okay. Any questions of our HNTB representative? Commissioner Cinto.
Thank you, President James. Sir, you know you gave a good explanation of the reason for the arc lighting too. Because it is LED, then the assumption is that it's conservation, it's energy efficient over the life of the lighting system. And this is, this is the defining lighting for the bridge, the ribbon of lights, and we'll see this for years and years. And so it is confirmed to be energy efficient and LED.
Yes, they're all LED fixtures. That's correct.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions regarding the sole source justification of either the Philips or the click system? Okay. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. Are we on number 2? Yes. No, we're on number 2. Yeah. And Commissioner Davis has seconded it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Bozzi. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Agenda item number 3, Council Districts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task for solicitation number 22 to Gruen from the 2014 pre-qualified on-call architectural and related professional services consultants list to provide a feasibility study and environmental review and documentation services. This is for the California Environmental Quality Act, National Environmental Policy Act, and Regulatory Permit for the Los Angeles River Valley Bikeway and Greenway Design Completion Project, as stated in this task order solicitation number 22, with a budget authority of $2,030,492, which does include a contingency. Mr. Miles. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. To give you a background, earlier this year we issued a task order solicitation to 20 on-call architectural consultants on our architectural consultant list for this LA River Bikeway and Greenway Design Completion Project. The project scope is for a consultant to provide services for feasibility study, environmental review and documentation, design services, and construction administration services for the design of 12 miles of bike path and greenway along the LA River from Van Alden Avenue to the west to Forest Lawn Zoo Drive to the east. It'll be 12 miles of gaps. So it'll be between stretches that are in construction, in design, or are slated to be in construction. Now this project is a part of a bigger picture. It's part of a 51-mile bike path that spans from the river all the way to Long Beach. 32 miles of it will be in the city of Los Angeles, and the subsequent will be outside of that. And in regards to the task order solicitation, on March 30th, 5 consultants submitted proposals for this task order solicitation. And after reviewing their proposals, we decided to interview all of them. And after our first round of interviews, based on evaluation criteria regarding to their approach, their schedule, their cost, their project understanding, experience in similar projects, as well as other unique qualifications they had, we shortlisted it to 2 consultants. And those 2 consultants were Rios Clemente Hale and Gruen Associates. And after a thorough evaluation, after the second interviews, we chose Gruen Associates based on the evaluation criteria we described. In terms of their cost and negotiation, we came to an agreement of $1.78 million for the feasibility study and environmental review and documentation services. Although the task order solicitation asked for the design services and construction administration, for now, they were asked only to fill out and provide their scope for the feasibility study and environmental review. And we added $250,000 contingency to yield a total of $2,030,492. In regards to the business inclusion program requirements, Gruen Associates had 11 sub-consultants relating to services of transportation engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, hydraulic engineering, as well as other services. And they met the BIP requirements on most of them. Some of them they were very, very close. Now, in regards to funding for this feasibility and environmental review and documentation will come from Proposition K, LA County, Recreation and Parks, LA DOT, and Bureau of Sanitation. And as a means to move the project and get the ball rolling, we issued an NTP for $95,000 on August 1st.
Thank you. Nor any questions? Commissioner Penning.
Sure. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this project because I think it's really important and exciting.
Sure.
It's actually, one of the major goals of the mayor when it comes to the LA River is providing access. And so what this is going to do when the design is done and we're done with construction is it will actually connect all of the pieces of the bike path through the valley so that, so that people have an opportunity to ride the entire bike path. And I think it's very important. I had a chance to work on putting the funding together for the design. It was a group effort. We went to Rec and Parks. We talked to them about Quimby. They went to all the council offices and got support from the council offices who had Quimby in those areas. We went to the Bureau of Sanitation, who agreed to put some of their stormwater funding in. We got funding from DOT, who recognizes that this is an important piece of our overall transit plan. And we went to the county, and they agreed to do 50% of the funding from their sources. So it was a group effort to get to where we needed to get into design. What's very exciting is that since then we've had a lot of momentum in putting this into larger plans for transportation funding into the future and for construction. So it's a very important part of our transit infrastructure, providing access to the river that we're starting here. And I think it's going to be a great project when it's done. We had a good conversation with folks from the LA Olympics bid recently. They indicated a lot of interest in this project because they're certainly, if we get the Olympics in LA in 2024, they're going to be looking for ways to move people around among their different facilities, and this is something that they were excited about as well. So with that, I would just say that I support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
I want to additionally add to some comments that were made by Commissioner Repenning in terms of, obviously, the construction that we're doing here is critical, and it will be a great asset to helping to make our vision for the river what it ought to be. I just want to also echo my compliments to you in terms of the effort put towards inclusion. When we look at the challenge we have time and again on increasing employment, particularly in various areas of the city, I think when we look at our construction efforts to increase the business inclusion matters and makes a difference to what we can achieve.
Right.
And so I just want to begin to recognize those contractors who come to us who have done a good job. So I thank you for it.
Sure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. And I would just add a thank you to my colleague, our Vice President, Heather Repenning, on her work on really consistent and constant, steady work on the river with its various and complicated aspects. And just second everything that she said today about the importance of this and just how exciting this project is as well. This is a real nice connector,
Right.
and a really big deal.
It
And
is.
it will provide access, and it's great for recreation and the health of our residents, and wonderful for tourists, and it's really just an infinite list. So we're very excited I'm very excited to second Commissioner Repenning's motion on this, as well as Commissioner Davis. Any objection? So without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. I don't anticipate a problem sending it forthwith. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend, Mr. Mollis, and we'll send number 3 forthwith.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, Council District 11, the Bureau of Sanitation, recommending that the board approve and forward the report with transmittals to the mayor requesting approval of a proposed memorandum of agreement between the City of Los Angeles, the County Los Angeles Flood Control District, the county itself, and the City of Culver City for the cost sharing of the coordinated integrated monitoring program of the Marina Del Rey watershed. And upon the mayor's authorization, myself or 2 commissioners of the Board of Public Works will execute the memorandum of understanding. Vivian Marquez. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney's Office, and Executive Officer. My name is Vivian Marquez with the LA Sanitation Watershed Protection Program. Here today replacing Hugh Cox as he has a family emergency, so I apologize for having to read from my notes. This agenda item concerns a proposed agreement between the city, LA County, and the Culver City to implement and share the cost of a water quality monitoring program for the Marina Del Rey watershed. This monitoring program is a regulatory requirement mandated by the NPDES permit for our storm drain system. We will be monitoring for bacteria, metals, toxics, and other pollutants in Marina Del Rey and report the results to the Regional Water Board on an annual basis so that they can evaluate whether we are meeting the water quality standards or not. As the owner of Marina Del Rey Harbor, the County of Los Angeles is the lead agency for implementing this monitoring program, and they will be doing most of the work. The purpose of the proposed MOA is to ensure equitable cost sharing between the 3 agencies, which is based on the percentage land area of each agency in the watershed. The total cost of the MOA is approximately $3.6 million over 3 years. The city's share of the cost is almost $1.2 million, and this amount has accounted for the credits that we should receive for doing bacteria monitoring in Marina Del Rey. The term of agreement is 3 years, beginning this fiscal year and ending by June 2019, and the agreement has been approved as to form by the City Attorney's Office. Thank you.
Any questions at all on agenda item number 4? Commissioner Repenning. Commissioner Repenning made a motion that we adopt number 4, seconded by Commissioners Jacinto and Davis. So without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issues sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Marquez. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, requested tree removal from the Bureau of Street Services, Council District 14, 204 North Evergreen Avenue on 1st Street, recommending that the board find that the tree removal first classifies as operation, repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing street, sidewalk, and gutter involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that previously existing and does not involve the removal of a scenic resource. Number 2, that the action is exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, Category 3, that's existing facilities, sidewalk repair, or maintenance, of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act guidelines from 2002. Number 3, that none of the exceptions to the use of a categorical exemption as set forth in Section 15300.2 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines apply. And secondly, review and approve the no-fee tree removal permit request for 5 Indian laurel fig trees, those are ficus trees, by city forces for the reconstruction of an off-grade public sidewalk. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson on number 5.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, Executive Officer, and the City Attorney. The Bureau of Street Services is preparing to commence with the East Side Access First Street Pedestrian Improvement Project. The project is the 5th of 7 sub-projects that is part of the $12 million Metro Gold Line East Side Access Project funded by Metro Measure R funds. The purpose of the project is to improve pedestrian access and safety on streets adjacent to and in the surrounding area of the Metro Gold Line stations. The entire project is located on First Street from the 101 freeway to Concord Street in Boyle Heights. Within these boundaries is sub-project 5 from Evergreen Avenue to Concord Street on the north side of First Street, adjacent to Evergreen Cemetery located at 204 North Evergreen Avenue. A Bureau of Street Services arborist performed a site inspection on May 23, 2016 and identified 5 street trees out of 24 trees that are going to be severely impacted by the required root pruning to retain the trees. The inspection reveals that the 5 trees are in fair condition, measuring an average of 16 to 20 inches in diameter by 32 feet in height. The trees are growing in tree wells that have already been enlarged to 5 by 15 feet and have outgrown this growing space that was provided. The roots and root crowns of the subject trees are significantly contributing to some defective conditions of the sidewalk and curb. Surface roots are prevalent in the parkway. Mr. Nate Hayward with Council District Office 14 was informed of the tree removals on July 6, 2016, and the Council Office will notify the Bureau of any tree removal objections, and we had not received any. Bureau of Street Services with CD14 had several community meetings throughout the construction of the different sub-project phases of the East Side Access Project. The Community Forest Advisory Committee was also notified of the pending tree removals. The Bureau of Street Services shall plant 7 24-inch box-size African fern pines, which is Aphrocarpus graciolor trees, in the first street side of the property, in addition to 3 24-inch box-size African fern pines in existing vacant tree wells along First Street in the adjacent area to comply with the Board of Public Works 2-to-1 policy. The new trees planted on First Street shall be provided a 5 by 10 well, giving them a longer length of time for growth before any infrastructure damage can take place, which is sustainable. So there are 24 trees total in this stretch. 19 are being saved. 5 are being requested for removal. They are actually going to be fixing curbs that are broken in front of the trees that are part of the 5. They're fixing the curb. They're taking up the running path that is an old sidewalk that was covered up with running type material, a base that you might find on a running track. All that's being removed, and in order to do the 4-sided root pruning on those 4 trees, due to everything being removed and a solid sidewalk being put in, it's recommended they be approved for removal.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tyson. Commissioner Repenning.
One of the things that I saw in the board report, Tim, that I just wanted to make sure was part of the oral record is that this area is actually part of a running pathway, kind of unofficial running pathway.
Yes, this large area, as I was just stating, is a running pathway that they actually put some sort of running material on top of the old existing sidewalk. And so they're going to remove everything, and so they're going to put back in concrete. And they'll be able to run on the concrete as well because it will be very wide. But it's also going to be increased with traffic because of the Metro Gold Line being there. So it's a very highly used sidewalk.
Okay, and this is kind of a random question, but I noticed that you guys are going to be doing the watering on these trees. When you do watering, are you using recycled water? Or
That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you. As far as I know, it's just regular water that we have at our location where we water up.
Okay, I've been working with Fernando and Paul to get our nonprofits onto recycled water. We're waiting on the DWP to approve it so that we can move ahead, but it's something we should look at internally as well.
Absolutely. If we could get the location where that is being provided, we can get that recycled water.
Okay, great. There's pipes all over town. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I thought I thought BSS was using recycled water.
I knew of one location where there was recycled water being utilized. I have to double check to see if that's what's the ongoing process right now, and I'll get back to the board.
I know we're using it for our street sweeping.
Yeah. So maybe, what might be nice is if we agendize kind of a street services watering policy item for just water use in street sweeping, water use for watering trees. That's something that would be helpful for us.
Absolutely.
So maybe you could speak with Ron and Nazario and let them know that we've requested that.
Then we can let the board and everyone know how many gallons of water are being utilized, recycling, and
Yeah, all that, I think it would just be interesting for us and for the public to have access to.
absolutely.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. Tim, thanks for the report. I wanted to ask a question in relation to the sidewalk repair program, whether or not this tree removal and sidewalk repair would qualify for helping us fulfill our disabled access type of scope of work.
Well, this isn't under the BOE sidewalk repair program. This is a project we're doing in-house.
Does this, in fact, help us, though, with access, in terms of the standards? Does it level it out? It says that it looks like some of these pictures where there is not the DOD standards there, so is there an after effect that maybe it's not intended, but it does create better access in terms of?
Absolutely, Commissioner. It'll be back to grade, and only the removal of the 5 trees that are the largest that are causing the most damage. We are saving 19 of the mature trees, which is what we would like to do, is save trees when it's sustainable, but 5 of them are not. And once everything's back at grade, it'll be sustainable for a number of years.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Anything else? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioners Jacinto and Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7. Bureau of Contract Administration and Street Lighting, a requested contract award for Council District 11, Westchester Playa del Rey Series to multiple high voltage conversion fiscal year 2015-16, recommending that the board declare R&H Industries doing business as Best Electric, the apparent second low bidder that became the first low bidder after the local business preference percentage is applied, to be non-responsive as discussed in the report. Number 2, declare KDC Incorporated doing business as Dynalectric, the apparent third low bidder, to be the lowest responsible bidder, again after the local business preference percentage is applied, and award Dynalectric a contract for the project for $1,039,008. Forward a copy of the report to the affected council district office, that would be CD 11, and authorize myself or 2 board members to execute the contract for the project upon approval of all required documents by the city attorney, Vince Nguyen.
Good morning, Vince Nguyen with the Bureau of Street Lighting. I'm here for item number 7 for the Westchester Street Lighting Project. Basically, we received a total of 7 bids for this project, and Best Electric was the apparent second low bidder that became the first low bidder after the LBP percentage is applied. However, their bid deemed non-responsive since they failed the outreach requirements. Dynalectric was the apparent third low bidder that became the lowest responsible bidder after the LBP percentage is applied. And we recommend that your board award a contract for this project to Dynalectric.
Hey, Ms. McGlinchey, I think I see you over there in your reserved seat that I can never see, but I saw you there earlier. Yes. We're going to put a plaque there with Ms. McGlinchey's name. Mr. Nguyen summarized what occurred, and because the bids that came in, they're all pretty close, pretty bunched up together, just a few $1,000s apart. So when you apply an 8% business preference, if you can move pretty quickly through the numbers if one of the other bidders is non-responsive. So would you just describe what happened to the recognizing that the first low bidder loses to the local business preferences, but what happened to the second low bidder as to the reason they're non-responsive?
We are recommending the second low bidder, Best Electric, be found non-responsive for failing to comply with the BIP outreach requirements. When we were evaluating whether or not they negotiated in good faith, we asked them to submit their copies of the sub-quotes that they received, which are supposed to match the work and bid listed amounts that they have in their bid proposal document. They were unable to do that with a particular subcontractor after multiple requests. And they then said it was a clerical error and they wanted to substitute that subcontractor prior to award in order to comply with the BIP. But by nature of the BIP, the negotiation in good faith, we could not accommodate that. So our recommendation is that they be found non-responsive.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Jacinto on this item?
Linda, can you give us a little bit more insight as to why that second would not disclose and try to, what's the rationale for that?
That I really couldn't speak for them, other than we did include their letter as transmittal number 3 as far as their explanation. They said that they tried to contact that particular subcontractor, could not get a hold of them, could not get a revised sub-quote. So all we know is that what they gave us did not match, so we could not confirm that they'd ever negotiated in good faith.
Understood. Thank you.
Hey, again, the local business preference is not particularly expensive here because the bids are all pretty close together. Any further questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt number 7. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 7 forthwith. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 8, Authority for Expenditure, California Water Environmental Association, Office of Accounting, and the Bureau of Sanitation are requesting board approval and execution of the authority for expenditure in the amount of $60,000 to encumber funds to pay for the California Water Environment Association wastewater maintenance certificate exams, as well as certification and membership renewals for the Wastewater Collection Systems Division employees for fiscal year 2016-17. Mark Lansing.
Good morning, President James, board members, Bureau representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. For item number 8, we are asking for your approval for authority for expenditure for $60,000 for the California Water Environment Association. It's a professional organization that offers certification for our wastewater collection workers and to ensure that they are practicing proper techniques in the handling of wastewater. This fiscal year, we're asking for an additional $10,000 from last fiscal year, and that's to account for additional employees and some fee increases.
So the breakdown, because we're paying for a few things here, which is fine. I'm just always curious, is it the cost of the exams, the certification, or the membership that ends up being the larger chunk?
It's actually both. The exams and the memberships are about equal in price.
Okay.
For new employees, that price is about $330 altogether.
And then we had some additional employees that we're adding for membership as well?
That's correct. And we are anticipating new employees to join our bureau, our division. Sorry.
All right. Anything further? Is there a motion on this item by Commissioner Repenning on number 8, seconded by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 9, authority for expenditure for Los Angeles Trade Tech College, Office of Accounting and Bureau of Street Services, requesting board approval and execution of the authority for expenditure in the amount of $64,800 to encumber funds to pay for the street maintenance technology program for the following semesters: summer 2016, fall 2016 right now, winter 2017, and spring 2017. So 4 semesters, full year. The Bureau of Street Services will offer these classes through the contract with Los Angeles Trade Tech. It's a long-term contract with LA Trade Tech College. In the street maintenance technology program, these classes will be funded by the Bureau of Street Services for fiscal year 2016-17. Daniel Kim.
Hi, good morning, honorable members of the board. I hope everyone's having a fine morning. My name is Daniel Kim from the Bureau of Street Services Financial Management Division, and I'm requesting, excuse me, I'm requesting the board to approve and authorize the Bureau to encumber funds for the street maintenance technology program that's being offered by the Bureau through the Los Angeles Trade Tech College. This is an ongoing encumbrance every year, and so last year we encumbered $51,841 to provide for 8 courses, and this year we're asking to encumber $64,800 to provide 10 courses to meet increased demand and participation in this program.
Well, first of all, Mr. Kim, we love hearing about the increase in demand for the program. I don't have any questions. I'm just happy to hear about it. So Commissioner Davis has abruptly moved that we approve agenda item number 9. So I'll second it. We had some folks in recently on this program. We always like to hear about it. So I've seconded it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned with the exception of the management meeting that will take place right now in our conference room. Thank you, everyone.